Let's talk about the Supreme Court, the 9 justices who decide what's constitutional and what's not. Every so often, they make a ruling so big, it shakes the country. That's what happened when they reviewed Trump's sweeping tariff plan. The court didn't just reject a policy, they slammed the brakes on a president using emergency powers to rewrite economic rules. This wasn't just about tariffs, it was about who really runs the country, and whether any president can bypass Congress to change the rules. The decision was a loud, clear reminder. Even the most powerful person in America has to play by the rules. So what's a tariff? You've probably heard the word tossed around in the news, especially during heated debates about trade and the economy. But what does it actually mean, and why does it matter so much in global politics? At its core, a tariff is simply a tax that a government places on goods coming in from other countries. When you see a price tag on imported cheese, electronics, or even cars, part of that price might be due to a tariff. The idea is to make foreign products more expensive, so shoppers are more likely to choose items made in their own country. This is supposed to help local businesses and protect jobs at home. Former President Donald Trump took this idea and ran with it. He saw tariffs not just as a way to protect American industries but as a powerful tool, a kind of economic weapon. Trump believed that by slapping tariffs on countries like China, he could pressure them to change what he saw as unfair trade practices, like stealing intellectual property or flooding the US market with cheap goods. He often talked about using tariffs to level the playing field and bring manufacturing jobs back to American soil. But the reality of tariffs is a lot more complicated. While the intention might be to help American workers, tariffs can have some unintended side effects. When the cost of imported goods goes up, it's not just foreign companies that pay the price. American businesses and consumers often end up footing the bill. For example, if a factory relies on imported parts, their costs go up, and those costs get passed on to shoppers. Suddenly, everyday items like cars, appliances, and even groceries can become more expensive. Take steel, for instance. When the government puts a tariff on imported steel, American steelmakers might benefit at first, but car manufacturers who need steel to build vehicles have to pay more for their materials. That means the price of new cars can rise, making it harder for families to afford them. So while tariffs might protect some jobs, they can also put a strain on others and make life more expensive for everyone. There's also a big question about who actually has the power to impose tariffs. According to the US Constitution, it's Congress, not the President, who controls taxes and tariffs. This was a deliberate choice by the Founding Fathers, who wanted to make sure that decisions about taxes were made by the branch of government closest to the people. After all, the American Revolution was fought in part over the issue of unfair taxes imposed by a distant government. The founders wanted to prevent any one person, even the president, from having too much power over the nation's economy. They believed that giving Congress control over tariffs would keep things fair and accountable. That's why Trump's plan to impose sweeping tariffs on his own raised so many eyebrows. By bypassing Congress and acting unilaterally, he set off alarm bells among legal scholars and lawmakers alike. Many saw this as a serious challenge to the constitutional balance of power, a big red flag for anyone who cares about how government decisions are supposed to be made. All of this set the stage for a major legal showdown, with questions about presidential authority, congressional power, and the future of American trade policy hanging in the balance. The debate over tariffs isn't just about economics, it's about who gets to make the rules and how those rules shape the lives of millions of Americans. Presidential power is supposed to be flexible but not limitless. The president isn't a king. Checks and balances are built in to stop any one branch from taking over. The Supreme Court is the ultimate referee when the president and Congress clash. Trump's tariff plan wasn't a minor tweak. It was a massive unilateral move to reshape the economy. His team claimed a national emergency gave him the right, but critics called it a dangerous overreach. The real question, can a president use emergency powers to create new taxes? The court had to draw the line. Their answer would define just how far presidential power can stretch. Trump's lawyers pointed to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, a law meant for real foreign crises. They argued global trade problems were an extraordinary threat, justifying emergency tariffs. But critics said IEPA was for targeted sanctions, not for rewriting the nation's tax code. Lower courts were skeptical. warning that using IEPA this way was a huge stretch. The legal fight boiled down to this: was Trump using a loophole or abusing his power? The Supreme Court had to decide if this was clever lawyering or a dangerous precedent. The stakes couldn't be higher. This was a classic constitutional clash: the president's need for speed versus Congress's control over taxes and trade. Trump's team argued emergencies require quick action, but Congress's defenders said only lawmakers can make such sweeping economic decisions. The non-delegation doctrine was at the heart of the case. Congress can't just hand over its core powers. Recent Supreme Court cases signaled the justices were ready to reinforce this principle. In the end, the court sided with Congress, ruling that emergency powers don't let a president rewrite tax and trade laws alone. It was a major win for the separation of powers. While the legal battle raged, real people felt the pain. Businesses relying on imports saw costs soar, forcing them to raise prices or cut jobs. Farmers were hit hard when China retaliated, closing off key markets and leaving crops unsold. The government had to bail out struggling farmers, using taxpayer money to fix problems the tariffs caused. Studies showed the tariffs' costs landed mostly on American consumers and businesses, not foreign countries. The economic fallout became a powerful argument against the president's plan. This wasn't just a legal fight, it was about real consequences for millions of Americans. The Supreme Court's recent decision is making waves across the nation, and for good reason. This wasn't just a case about President Trump or the use of tariffs. Its impact goes far beyond any single administration or policy. What the justices decided will echo through the halls of power for generations to come, shaping how every future president can act in times of crisis or uncertainty. By ruling the way they did, the court set a powerful precedent that applies to every president, not just the one in office today. It's a reminder that the rules of our democracy are bigger than any individual, no matter how powerful. The heart of the decision was about emergency powers. The court drew a clear, unmistakable line. Presidents cannot use emergency authority as a shortcut to create sweeping new economic policies like tariffs without first getting approval from Congress. This is a major clarification of the limits of executive power, especially in an era when presidents have increasingly tried to act alone. With this ruling, the Supreme Court is pushing power back to Congress, the branch of government designed to represent the people's will. It's a move that slows down the trend of presidents bypassing lawmakers and making big decisions on their own. Now Congress must be involved in major economic changes, restoring the balance intended by the Constitution. For businesses across America, this decision brings a new sense of stability and predictability. Companies can now plan for the future without worrying that a single tweet or executive order will suddenly upend the rules of the game overnight. Investors and workers alike can breathe a little easier, knowing that sudden tariff shocks or sweeping economic changes will require debate and approval in Congress, not just the stroke of a pen from the Oval Office. For American democracy, this is a significant win. The system of checks and balances, one of the core principles our country was founded on, has held firm in the face of modern challenges. The Supreme Court's decision reinforces the idea that no branch of government should have unchecked power. Each branch must respect the boundaries set by the Constitution, ensuring that our freedoms and rights are protected from overreach. This is exactly what the founders envisioned when they wrote the Constitution. They wanted to make sure that no single person, no matter how popular or powerful, could rule without limits or oversight. By enforcing these boundaries, the Supreme Court is upholding the vision of the founders and reminding us all that the rule of law is the foundation of our nation. The court's ruling is a powerful reaffirmation that the United States is, above all, a nation of laws, not of men. No one, not even the president, is above the Constitution. In the end, this decision sends a clear message. Every leader, no matter their office, must answer to the Constitution and the people it protects. That's what keeps our democracy strong. After this ruling, the presidency looks more like what the founders intended: powerful, but not unchecked. Future presidents will have to work with Congress, not around it, especially on big economic issues. This could spark a culture shift, forcing Congress to reclaim its authority and debate major policies openly. Some worry this slows down crisis response. But the court didn't eliminate emergency powers, just clarified their limits. Policies passed through Congress are more stable and legitimate than unilateral executive orders. The decision encourages real leadership, building coalitions, seeking consensus, and respecting the rules. It nudges the presidency away from ruling by decree and back toward governing with consent. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? At its core, the system worked exactly as it was designed to. In moments of political tension and uncertainty, when the balance of power seems to tip dangerously in one direction, the framework set up by the founders steps in to restore order. This isn't just a theoretical idea, it's a living, breathing process that plays out in real time, shaping the course of our nation. In this case, a president attempted to stretch the limits of executive authority, pushing boundaries that many believed should not be crossed. But the judiciary, acting as an independent branch of government, pushed back firmly. This push and pull is not a sign of dysfunction, it's a sign of a healthy democracy, where no single branch can dominate the others unchecked. This is checks and balances in action, the safety net the founders built to protect democracy from the dangers of concentrated power. The Constitution was crafted with the understanding that human nature is fallible, and that even well-intentioned leaders can overreach. By dividing power among the branches, the founders created a system where ambition is made to counteract ambition. The Supreme Court's decision in this case was more than just a legal ruling, it was a crucial course correction. It reinforced the rules and boundaries that keep our government accountable to the people. When the highest court steps in to clarify the limits of power, it sends a message that the law stands above any one individual or office. Without checks and balances, power can quickly become dangerous and unaccountable. History is full of examples where unchecked authority led to abuses, corruption, and the erosion of freedoms. The founders understood this risk, which is why they built safeguards into every level of government. This ruling ensures that major policies, especially those that affect millions, are openly debated and decided by elected representatives, not imposed from above by executive order. It's a reminder that democracy is a collective process, requiring input, debate, and compromise from many voices, not just one. The destruction of Trump's tariff plan was more than a legal defeat for one administration. It was a victory for the Constitution and for the principle that no one is above the law. It reaffirmed that the rules apply equally, regardless of who holds power. Democracy isn't automatic, it requires constant vigilance from all of us. Every time the system is tested and holds firm, it's a reminder that our freedoms are protected not by chance, but by the deliberate design of our institutions, and by the active participation of citizens who care. This time, the system delivered, and that's something worth celebrating.